is going on, Internet? This is another video coming at you from Redskins Rant. Hail to the Redskins. Before I get started, please subscribe to this channel and like this video and leave comments, any comments down in the comment section down below. For those of you who saw my video yesterday, I will be responding to the comments at the end of this video. I'm going to have a little intro, and I'm going to get to the meat and potatoes of the video, and then I'm going to get back to the actual video. It's the actual answering of the questions and the things like that. So here's what this video is about. This is my final draft prediction for the Washington Redskins. I'm going to predict where they draft. I'm going to predict who they draft. I'm going to go. I'm going to give you my draft, and then I'm also going to give you what I think the Redskins will do differently. If the Redskins stick to their picks and don't trade out or anything, this is what the Redskins will do. And then I'm going to tell you what I think they will do to give themselves more options when it comes to picks and more options when it comes to weapons. I do want to reiterate, I think the Redskins have to focus on two things this offseason, or this draft. One is get Chase Young. That's simple. I don't think they can screw that up. Even the Redskins can't out-Redskin themselves and screw this up. And the other thing I think they need to focus on is they need to get weapons for Haskins. We have to figure out what Haskins is and put good talent around him. As much as I like our receiving core, like at least 3 or 4 of our receivers, I don't think our tight end core is going to be up to snuff, and I think we're going to have to get tight ends. There are other ways we're going to get tight ends, so I'm not too worried about the tight end position. I'm worried about tight end position, but I think we're going to draft tight ends, so I'm not concerned about that. There's 2 positions that we might not take in this draft, and I'll explain why. One is left tackle, because we can still go to free agency and get somebody that can hold down the spot for a year. Donald Penn's out there, Jason Peters. So we might not get one with the draft picks I'm showing you. There's rumor about Trent getting traded. I think we will spend that pick on our left tackle. So if Trent gets traded, that's what we'll spend that pick on. If he gets traded for lesser picks, we'll probably get someone to do depth, and then we'll go in free agency and sign someone for a 1-year rental. Donald Penn's still out there, Jason Peters. So that's what I think they'll do. So that one's not as dire as the tight end position. We have Cornelius Lucas if we're desperate. We have Jerron Christian if we're desperate to start him. We still have Morgan Moses to play the right tackle. So then you can just focus on getting someone adequate enough to play the left tackle position. So that's kind of where we're at with that. And in receiver, I do like our receiving core a decent amount. I think they're young. I think they're growing together. Harmon, McLaurin, Steve Sims. Cam Sims isn't bad. I still think if Trey Quinn's healthy, he's a good slot receiver. He just can't stay healthy. So those are the wide receivers I think we have that I like. Even Cody Latimer was a good pickup. I think he's a pretty decent player as well. So I don't hate our receiving core. So if we wanted to not get someone this year that's like a high draft pick or like whatever, we could probably go one more year without that, and I think we'll be okay because of the offensive scheme we're going to run. Basically, the offensive scheme we're going to run, and I went over this in the video. If you didn't see it, I went on a podcast with a couple other Redskin YouTubers, and the offense we're going to run, I'm going to tell you straight up what it is. We're going to have McLaurin and Sims on the outside. They're going to stretch the defense. They're going to have to play safeties deep to cover the speed, and they're going to stretch the defense that way. You're going to have Harmon. You're going to have Trey Quinn. You're going to have our tight ends work the middle of the field, work the soft parts of zones, work the mismatches when it comes to the interior of the defense. And depending on what the safeties do, it's going to depend on what the quarterback does there. His reads will be pretty simple. And then he's ultimately got the check down. That's exactly the offense they ran last year in Carolina. And no offense to Cam Newton, he's not exactly a quarterback. He's more of a running quarterback. But if Cam Newton can be successful running something similar to that, I'm pretty sure Haskins can figure that out. So we need to get players that fit into that. That's why there's a running back I think we should get. But I don't think that's dire. That's not a need, a must-have. I think it's a luxury that if we can get them, great. If not, it's not a big deal. So I'm going to flash over to the actual draft part. So enjoy. What is going on YouTube? Now we're doing the fantasy draft for the Washington Redskins 2020 draft. So we are doing the 2020 draft for the Washington Redskins. I have the number of picks here, and I have a bunch of guys picked out for them. So I'm actually going to do this as well. This is not going to be my representation, but I'm using this as something I'm going to show people, show you guys. So without further ado, I want to get into what we need real quick, and I've already gone over this a little bit, but tackle, or tight end, wide receiver, offensive tackle. If you can see the graphics, sometimes it doesn't show up, sometimes it doesn't. But I have a list of tight ends I wouldn't mind. I would like to get on this team, a list of receivers I like, and a list of offensive tackles I think we can get later. However, I'm going to not do any offensive tackles in this draft, and here's why. The last day or so, there has been huge rumors that Trent Williams will be traded, and it could potentially be for a first-round pick. So I will talk about that a little bit in this video about whereabouts would we look to trade for or get a trade for Trent. We're like what teams? So right now I'll do that real quick. Go over the teams that kind of have a little bit of interest in getting a tackle. Cleveland, Jets, Broncos, Tampa, Giants, Jaguars, Buffalo Bills, Bengals, Panthers, Vikings, Steelers, Seahawks, Texans, and Bears, all on ESPN, have listed as their top three need. One of their top three needs is offensive tackle, or just offensive line in general, which Trent would actually suit that. You can move someone else to the guard spot and let Trent play left tackle. So some of these we can eliminate right away because if they're not contending, there's no point. They're not going to trade away picks for an aging person if they're not contending. So Cleveland, I would say, is definitely I would say they're, even if you don't like Cleveland, they're a contender because they think they can. They can. I think they can win their division, at least come close to it this year. With Baker Mayfield, I still think Baker Mayfield's a good quarterback. He's had a bad year. Everyone has a sophomore slump. Jets, similar concept. I think they're going to look to win the division. I don't know if they're going to make a run for like a Super Bowl, but they're going to look to win the division and make the playoffs this year. Broncos are one I'm weary on because their division is tough. They have a tough division between Kansas City, and I even think the Raiders are going to be pretty good, decent this year, at least maybe a wild card team. So they may not be wanting to trade. So Broncos are the first team on this list that wouldn't be willing to trade to get a tackle because they don't want to give a lot of draft capital. Tampa would 100% give up a draft capital, first or second round. No rookie is going to help Tom Brady this year unless it's a running back. Offensive tackle makes more sense to keep him upright. He's not mobile. Jameis Winston wasn't mobile, and neither was who's the other guy? Fitzpatrick. But they are mobile enough that they can move around if the pocket kind of collapsed. But I think they would be a great candidate to trade. Giants are not contending, so I don't think they're going to trade away draft capital, but they do need a left tackle, so they might get desperate. Jaguars are not contending, but they do need a left tackle, so they might get desperate as well. Buffalo Bills are contending for their division, so I see that as a possibility. I also saw that Dolphins were, but I don't think they're going to trade away a lot of draft picks for an aging guy either. So Dolphins are rebuilding. Bills and Jets are competing for their division. Bengals are rebuilding. I don't think they're going to, but they do need a left tackle. Panthers, I think they're going to want to keep Teddy Bridgewater healthy. So they could be one of the most, and I'll go over the ones I think are the definite ones. Vikings are in a win now mode. They have a decent team. I'm not going to lie. They have a pretty good team, decent quarterback, and decent weapons. They just got to make sure they protect their quarterback. Steelers are in win now mode. They could get desperate if the deal's right. Seahawks are kind of in a win now mode as well. They've had a bad offensive line the last few years, and I think that would be a huge help for them. Texans are in win now mode. They got to keep Deshaun Watson upright. Deshaun Watson? Yeah, that's right. Bears need a left tackle, but I don't think they're going to trade for him. They're kind of in like a pseudo rebuild. Who are the most likely candidates? Cleveland, Jets are two of the most likely candidates to me. Tampa's a really high candidate. We have the Panthers and Vikings. Those five, I think, are the ones that we're going to look for to trade with. And the reason why I got this up is because I'm going to show you whereabouts they could actually, maneuver picks to get Trent. And so what we could potentially have. We can hit a second and a third. I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with a first and nothing else. But I do want to get started on my draft, and I'll show you when in this draft, we're going to have these scenarios play out. So let's go back to this, and
Nice. Okay. So, with the first pick, the second pick overall in the NFL draft, the Washington Redskins, with the second overall pick in the first round, will draft Chase Young. He is a junior out of Ohio State. He's the edge rusher. He's versatile. He can play outside linebacker. He's strong. He's good size, 6'5", and apparently he's still got a little bit more growing to do. So he could be like 6'7", 6'8", 265, edge rusher. It says cons on here. That's a very short cons list. Young can do better job of getting his pads level in some reps. There are instances where he pops straight up out of his stance. I think it's just because he's so athletic. But I think he does need to get his technique down a little bit when it comes to like him and the Bosa brothers. The Bosa brothers have better technique, but they're not nearly as athletic or talented as him. So their technique is what makes them good. He is just good because he's just naturally good. And I think if he gets a little bit more technique, I think we're going to see a completely different guy out of Chase. And with a good defensive coach, like Ron Burgundy and Gold Rivera and Jack Del Rio, I think we're going to have some pretty good. We're going to make him into the best possible player he could be. So he has no red flags. Javon Curse, I think that's a little downgrading of how good he actually is, but that would be our second overall pick, and I would be very excited about that. So second overall pick is Chase Young. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do this on here real quick. So if you look at this, and I'm going to pause this here in a second. So we're kind of past. I've heard rumors that I can't pause it. Shoot, I didn't log back in. Shoot. Okay. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I've heard rumors that around this area here is where we're going to get a trade. I think like draft pick 41 with the Browns. It just depends on, and this is not what I wanted. I wanted to stop. Son of a gun. I'm going to exit the mock draft real quick, and we're going to see if I can log back in. There we go. That's what happened. So I'm going to log back in. Redskins. That I wanted to pause it and show like the picks where we're most likely to probably end up getting a pick. So let's start the draft. Can I pause it? Yes, I can. Okay, good. So I'm going to draft Chase Young. Very good. So now I'm going to pause about right here. So right here on pick 10, apparently if the Browns don't get the offensive tackle they want, they'll take someone else, and then their later pick they'll end up trading for us. I heard the same thing about the Jets. If the offensive tackle they don't want, I don't get that because there's three good ones right here. I would be stoked to have any three of these on our team. I think he'd do a fantastic job of replacing Trent and even Josh Jones, Ezra Cleveland, Isaiah Wilson. A lot of these guys I'd be stoked to have replacing Trent on our team. All the way down to Austin Jackson in the first and second round. I think Lucas Nyaj will fall to the second or third round. But regardless, somewhere in this, from like this pick from 10 to, and I'm going to keep it going a little bit just so it gets by, somewhere between 10 and like pick 45 is apparently some like right here with the Browns is the one I've heard the most rumors about. Right here with the Browns, they might trade this pick right here and something else for the acquisition of Trent Williams. I've heard also that the Jets could trade 48 for Trent Williams. If the Broncos are desperate, they might go for it as well. Same with the Buccaneers. So the Buccaneers draft in the first round. They did. Oh, they already got an offensive tackle, so never mind. So some of these teams are going to draft an offensive tackle, and which I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to do that. I think they're going to take a weapon or something on the defense right now, and then they're going to trade this pick for an offensive tackle, Trent Williams. But I just wanted to show that there's somewhere in this range is where we're going to acquire that pick to get rid of Trent Williams. And then on that same note, we're going to use that same pick to draft his replacement. Or we'll trade back and just accumulate more guys. So then there's the Vikings pick. The Vikings have offered, I think they have like a 3-player and it's lower picks, like a third, a fourth, and a player for Trent. I would love that. But anyway, so now we're back to the second pick. Now, here's what I think they'll do if they don't get rid of their guy or get rid of their pick. So the 67th pick in the draft, the Washington Redskins will draft. I believe they'll draft Adam Trotman. I think they're going to take a tight end. They're going to take a big tight end. I think they're actually going to take more than one tight end, unless they trade for O.J. Howard or someone else, or maybe Njoku is in the mix for Trent. I don't know, but I think Adam Trotman is the best tight end in this draft, and he's got a big range. He's got height. He's got size. He had a very good, decent pro day. He had pretty good combine numbers as well. And I think he would be a good fit and a good target. Not to mention, I have us drafting the two best blocking tight ends in this draft. Okay? Now, if I go back to here, now I honestly think, like I said, I'm doing this draft assuming Redskins don't trade down. They're just going to take the best available player at the time or the guy that they want at that time. I think it would behoove the Redskins, and if you don't know what behoove means, it'd be their best interest, if the Redskins traded down from this pick. Because if we're looking to get, okay, so right now, if we look to get Adam Trotman, he's a couple picks down. So if we move down like 4 spots and accumulate like another 4th, wouldn't kill us. And we can still get the guy we want. We can also get Cole Kmet, and we can move like 4 or 5 spaces, get Cole Kmet. And receiver, if we're looking for a receiver there's definitely some receivers we can get at that place. Chase Claypool, but I think the receiver I want is later in the draft. It's a little further down. So I think accumulating picks right here for the guys that the Redskins need would be a great idea. But if they're going to trade down, they're going to do it right here because this pick's going to have some value. Like, for example, right now, pick 66, the Buccaneers, or not the Buccaneers, the Raiders could trade 2 picks for that pick right there. And we have 2 accumulated picks right off the bat. And now we have 2 more picks in the 3rd round, and we would move down to pick 80. So our tight end may not be there, but he also might be there. But I'm going to select Adam Trotman at that point in the draft. So if we look over Adam Trotman and his any kind of analysis of him, his benefits, strengths, heavily targeted and heavily productive. He did go to a small school. That's one of his benefits as well. He is a big target for his quarterback, gets to top speed quickly for a big tight end. He has a big frame. I think anything in his wheelhouse he'll catch. They say one of the downsides is he was playing against inadequate talent. I mean, he still produced numbers. I mean, that's the thing I'm looking at. He apparently ran a limited route tree, but I think that might be based on the offense. Nothing special after catch. I'm not worried about anything after catch. I just want him to be able to move the sticks. Gears down motor once initial route bears no fruit. Initiate movements as a run blocker out of stance are manic and will need to correct hand placement at the point of attack. Like I said, I think we should get him because I think he's a big target and we're going to need him in the red zone. I think that's what the Redskins need. So we're going back to this where the Redskins are picking their 4th round pick. And like I said, we might be able to wait until pick 108 and draft a tight end. Look, because none of these tight ends are coming off the board right now. So, but I think the Redskins in this case, and if the guy's still available, running back, perfect timing for this guy, ZACK Moss, will be the guy we draft. Like I said, we're not going to draft an offensive tackle because we're going to draft that with the pick we trade Trent Williams for. ZACK Moss, I know a lot of people think, what, we have so many running backs. Well, listen, we don't have reliable running backs. We have Darius Geis, who's not reliable to stay healthy. Bryce Law's been injured the entire time. Adrian Peterson I love, but he's on his last legs as a pro. So that leaves us with Peyton Barber and J.D. McKissick. And as much as those two are not bad, I don't trust Peyton Barber to be a back that's going to be a future back. ZACK Moss is my favorite running back in this draft. He runs hard. He puts his head down. He has pretty good vision. He has a lot of power. And he has 2nd level speed. I'm trying to see anything down. Worst trait. 2nd level speed is probably his worst trait. He has good contact balance, and if he's like a Kareem Hunt, I'll take that every day. Kareem Hunt is a fantastic running back. So I think Zach Moss will fall to the early 4th round. I think that's which one it is. 4th round, 2nd pick, yeah. So that is our pick number 108. So and like I said, if we're here and we drafted a running back, now we're getting to our next pick. And we're going to focus on, and I'm going off of this. This is just what I believe. I'm just showing you some things on here. I'm not really doing a mock draft right now. So in this draft, it has Antonio Gandy Golden falling to 184. Now I've seen other drafts where he falls and he goes like beginning of the 4th round, late 3rd. So it just really depends. And this is one reason why I think the Redskins will trade down, because there's so many guys that they're going to want to grab, but they're not going to be in. They're going to have to either stretch forward, or they're going to wait and the person won't be there. So that's why I think they're going to trade down a little bit. But I'll go ahead and let me just look and make sure the other guy I want is still available or not. That he's not, but I'm not going to worry about it in this draft. So the guy I want next. So right now we're at pick 142, and the guy I believe the Redskins will draft next, and the pick is in. The Redskins will draft next Antonio Gandy Golden. 6'4", has pretty decent 40-yard time. 4.6 for 6'4". That's actually pretty solid. Big arms, good hands. If it's thrown near him, he'll catch it. He's pretty good strength, I guess, for a receiver. But he's definitely got talent. And he's definitely got a good vertical. 36 inches is a pretty good vertical. I'm not worried about the shuttle drill or anything like that. But I just know he's got good size. He'll fall to about 4th or 5th round. He might fall as low as the 5th, and in that case, we can get a different player at this point. But I think he'll fall right here, or he may fall the 5th, and we can swap this next pick. So, like if we did it on here, like I said, if we drafted a receiver right now at 142, we'd still be reaching for him. So that's why I think we'll trade down from this pick. We can trade down right now with Dolphins for these 2 picks or something like that, and they can jump up and get the guy they want, whatever the case may be. So I think we will trade down at one of these picks, either the third round pick we have, or the 2nd pick in the 4th round. But I'm gonna go ahead and just draft the guy I want, and it's kind of a reach. I get that at that point, but that's this draft board. Not every draft board has them going that low. I've had some other ones that have them going as high as like somewhere between the 3rd and the 4th. So now this one, and what I initially have is a different. I don't think he's still on here now. He's been rising up, and it's probably because he's got a name. And next pick. So I want Gandy Golden, and then next Thaddeus Moss. Rumor has it that Thaddeus Moss. I mean, there's so much speculation on this pick; it's crazy. I've seen him go as low as like the 5th round, like where I plan on getting him right now in this draft, and I've seen him go as high as the 3rd. I don't think he's going to go that high. He has too many unknowns about his ability. He has too many unknowns. But in big games, he showed up, so that might be what people have a lasting memory of. So that might be why. 6'3", SEC West, redshirt sophomore. So he's young, so that's one reason why I also think he'll fall to a later round, is he's pretty young. So that is the 17th pick in the 5th round. Now, we do not have a 6th round pick, so we are at this juncture. I'm just going to grab a tight end on this list right here, 162. And like I said, I think he'll fall right here. A lot of drafts have him doing that, but I'm just going to grab a tight end at this point. Harrison Bryant wouldn't be a bad option in that place. Now, like I said, there's so many different mock drafts and websites you can do where certain guys fall certain places. So I'm going off of one website and the player that I found there that I like. I think he's very versatile, and I think he will be very helpful to us if he's available. And I think he will be. We're getting pretty close. He might be gone. Dang it. Okay, well, he's not going to be available in this draft. because he just got taken. But I think he will be available in the real life draft. And that is, let me go ahead and cue the tone. And with the second pick in the 7th round, the Washington Redskins will accumulate or draft to the Redskins SHYHEIM Carter, safety out of Alabama. Now, he has listed on one website I was looking at as safety corner. And the reason why I think we should draft him is I think he has versatility. He's 6 foot, so he has decent height to play both the corner and safety position. Redskins like Alabama players, and they've drafted a lot of Alabama players. They've signed Alabama players. So I think going the route of getting SHYHEIM Carter right here would be perfect. In this draft, he was literally taken 3 picks before me. So, and then it's by the Patriots, so they know what they're doing. So, but I think he will fall far enough to land right in the Redskins' lap. I think that is a very realistic outcome, and I think the Redskins would be fools not to grab him. Ron Rivera has a very good history of finding late round corners and safeties and making all pros and pro bowlers out of them. Okay, and he definitely has ability. The only thing he lacks is athleticism, but he's a very good football player in general. He has no red flags. A lot of character guys in this list. A lot of character guys. So I like SHYHEIM Carter. I like what he brings. And like I said, I don't think he's going to fall here. So I'll just draft it. In this, just to keep it going, I'll draft the safety. That would be a reach right now, 216. But I'm going to go with Jordan Fuller, just to get it moving to the last pick. And then the last pick in the NFL draft that the Washington Redskins have. So that would be initially the 15th pick in the 7th round. The Washington Redskins. The Washington Redskins are going to pick James Pierre. I don't have a picture of him. He is a lengthy cornerback from Florida Atlantic University, 6'2". That is something like characteristically that the Ron Rivera likes to draft. He is projected to go at 241 to the New England Patriots. That's fine. I think the Redskins can get him a little bit earlier at 229, and I wouldn't hate that. I think he's going to be a solid player. He has good length. He's a good player, and I just think Ron's going to look for that kind of player. Length, size, underratedness, but he can get one late, and he actually wouldn't not like be in a position where he wouldn't make this team. Neither SHYHEIM Carter or James Pierre. So, yeah, I think that's what I would do. So James Pierre, if you fall in this draft, falls right into the Washington Redskins' lap. Some people think it's a reach, but I think defensive player like a safety or corner is going to fall in our lap. And I think that's the perfect option to go with right now. The only other one I consider maybe is A.J. Green, if he's available at that time. Actually, I probably would take A.J. Green over this kid, but I'm going to digress. I'm not going to be picky about it. Look at my picks. So this is not the draft that I'm having. So everything is pretty much the same except for a couple changes. Chase Young, yes. Adam Trotman, yes. Zach Moss, yes. Antonio Gandy Golden, yes. We might be able to grab him here and grab Thaddeus Moss here. So that might be the only 2 changes. And then SHYHEIM Carter instead of Jordan Fuller. He literally got picked 2 picks before us, but I think he'll fall to where the Redskins are drafting. Okay. Yeah, so we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks. Reiterate one more time. Chase Young, defensive end. And then we go pretty much all offense for the next 5 picks. Tight end from Dayton University. I'll exit out of these. Doesn't do it. Big receiving weapon will definitely help Haskins out this year. Zach Moss. I think he could be our running back of the future if Geis doesn't pan out. If Geis pans out, then we have a good 1-2 punch. And eventually we're going to have to either pay Geis or cut him. And I think this would be a good backup option if we have. I know he's not a need, but I think it'd be a luxury that we can have right now. And then we would draft Antonio Gandy Golden, 6'4", big frame. I think we might be able to draft him and Thaddeus Moss and switch positions. Thaddeus Moss might be drafted before him. But it just really depends on, like I said, whichever draft engine I use, it's always different. I could literally go do one right now on this website, first dash pick, and he'll fall like in the third round. It just really depends. And then Zach Moss will fall to the fifth. It's really different. So I'm not going to get too hung up on that, but we'll draft Thaddeus Moss. So we have 2 tight ends in this draft. The only exception to this, I would say, is if we trade for Njoku or Juwan Howard or OJ Howard. I think I like OJ Howard. I think he'd be good in our fit. If you look at the offense the Redskins about to run, Greg Olsen thrived in that offense. So having a tight end that can at least catch the ball and move the sticks would be perfect type of tight end perfect type of offense for a tight end in the portion. And like I said, Antonio Gandy Golden, he's a big player. He's got decent speed for his size. I think he's got really good hands. The only thing I would say, and this is the one knock against him, is he played at a school that doesn't play the greatest talent. But he had a pretty decent day whenever he played against, what's his name? Virginia University. UVA. There we go. UVA. So I think he had a pretty decent day that day. And then SHYHEIM Carter, who has a versatility to play either the safety or cornerback position. And he's from Alabama, and the Redskins love to draft them, some Alabama players. And then the last player, cornerback from Florida Atlantic University, James Pierre, lengthy, pretty decent size, and I think we'll draft him. I think drafting him is the perfect option because we get a couple more defensive players. We don't really need linebackers. We don't need safeties as much, but we need something versatile in case we get injured. And that's why I think both these guys will come in handy. That's pretty much the draft portion of my video. I'm going to send you guys back over to the Q&A where I'm going to answer the questions that were put on my YouTube channel. So I'm going to send you back over. Thanks for watching. Send you back over.
What is going on, internet? Here we are back with my Q&A. So I did a video yesterday. If you didn't see it, I did a video, and I said people put down their favorite players. I'll give you a shout out on my video, and ask me any questions that I think about the draft or the Redskins in a general sense. So I'm gonna go right from the top to the bottom. I'll go to the first one. First one to comment was Bit Finance 10 hours ago. It's his favorite player is number 21, Sean Taylor, one of my favorite players too. My honorable mention, second favorite, next to Dale Green. So with that being said, he asked the question, how many sacks do you think Chase Young will get next year? 11 plus or minus? I think he'll get more than 11. I don't think he'll get one per game. I think the Redskins are actually very talented on the defensive line, so that's actually going to be a little bit of a hindrance to his overall numbers. I think team success will be better, but he won't get like up to one per game. I think he'll get about 11. I think 12, 11 and a half is actually probably the best number to pick, but I think he'll get 12. And the reason I think that is because, and I don't think he'll get more than 12, is because you're competing with Ryan Kerrigan, you're competing with Payne, Allen, Montez Sweat, all you're trying to get to the quarterback. So there's only so many sacks to go around, and I think teams are going to try to throw that much against us if we continuously sack them. So I think that about 12 sacks is like dead on. 11 and a half is probably like the perfect number, but I do think he'll get more than 11 because he's that good. But I don't think he'll get much more than that because there's so much good getting to the quarterback talent around him. So it's not, if he was the only guy, I think he would get 16, but I also think he'd get doubled a lot more. Now that the fact that there's so much talent around him, he'll get his, but I think other people will too because they'll start keying off on him and just take their chances with everyone else. So Daryl Williams says, thanks for the update. Who do you think will get Trent? And I hope we get a first round for him too. First round pick for him. I do too. I think it's going to come down to two things. It's going to come down to how desperately some teams want Trent. I've heard a couple options for Trent that I've liked. If I'm wanting a lot of picks, the Viking one is the most tantalizing. But I have a feeling there's going to be someone late in the first that's going to offer it because all the offensive tackles are gone. I see the possibility that that Tom Brady's going to have a little bit of an influence on the draft. For some reason, I think Tampa Bay will. And not only will we get I think we're going to get like a second rounder for him, not a first. I think we'll get a second rounder and probably O.J. Howard because they're trying to get rid of him. They don't want him on the roster. I don't know why he's cheap. And the third tight end that's that good. I mean, that's insane. But I guess they have other needs and other options. So I think it'll be, if I'm a betting man, it's either them or the Vikings, and I'm going to lean towards them because Tom Brady does not want a rookie covering his backside or his blind side. He's going to want Trent Williams. So, good question. Jay Martell. Favorite Redskins player of all time has to be Sean Taylor. Got it. I agree. He's one of my favorites. Like I said, it's literally 1 and 2. It's 1 and 2. He probably, if he'd played longer and wasn't murdered, probably would have been my favorite. Experts say Trent. Brutus says experts say Trent is better than any left tackle in this draft. I would probably agree with that. If you're going to trust him or a rookie, I think I would trust him when it comes to being able to do the job. Also, if multiple teams are trying to get him, maybe one of them is willing to give a first round. That's very true. I mean, I just listed, I think about a dozen team names of teams that are looking to get an offensive tackle. Some aren't desperate to get him because they're not trying to compete this year. I did list about, I'll list it one more time. Cleveland, Jets, Broncos up there, but I don't think they're desperate to get it. They're not trying to win a Super Bowl this year. They're rebuilding, so I don't think they're desperate to get Trent Williams. Tampa, Buffalo Bills, Cleveland Jets, Tampa, Buffalo Bills, Panthers. I think they're going to try. They might try. Vikings, Steelers, and Seahawks, and maybe Texans. So there's 9 teams that are semi desperate and are semi in like we need to win now mode. Especially Steelers because they're going to lose their quarterback in like 2 years. They're not going to have Ben Roethlisberger much longer, so they might as well capitalize while they can. Seahawks have never had a good offensive line because they rely way too much on Russell Wilson running around. Same with Texans, but solidifying those two, either of those teams solidifying their offensive line would definitely make them significantly better. Vikings are in a win now mode. They make sense. Buffalo and the Jets are competing for their division, so they're in a win now mode. Tampa is in a Super Bowl now mode. That's 100%. That's where they're at. Cleveland believes they're in a win now mode. I do think they're a decent team. I think with the right pieces they can actually grow. But right now they're not really. I don't think they're quite there. But Trent might actually push them over the edge a little bit. So that's it's definitely possible we can get a 1 because of how many people need an offensive left tackle right now that are competing. Favorite player from Brutus, he says 1 offense, 1 defense. Favorite player, Sean Taylor. Defense and offense is Santana Moss. I have to go. Chris Cooley is actually my favorite offensive player. I know he's like polarizing a lot. Some fans don't like him. Some fans do because of opinions he's had. Anthony Barata. His favorite player is Sean Taylor. That's a very consistent theme. Sean Taylor is great. That's the only jersey I access a lot. I have a jersey. And the second jersey I got a McLaurin jersey this year for Christmas. Question, I'm hearing a second rounder next year and possibly third and fourth this year. How does that sound? If you're talking about for Trent, I don't hate it if it's a second rounder next year and third and fourth this year. If it's like, for example, if it's from the Vikings have a high third and a low third and then a high fourth and a low fifth, or low fourth. A high fourth and a low fourth. So if it's with the Vikings, I'll take that because that means next year, let's say we don't trade any picks coming in this draft. That means we have a first rounder that gives us 2 seconds, and we'll be able to get 3 players next year that we're going to need. And based on what I've already mentioned about Haskins, let's say Haskins sucks and we need to trade up. Having a couple more second round picks to trade up and get Trevor Lawrence or whatever quarterback is hot, like there might be another Joe Burrow or whatever. That might be something that would be enticing. Like I said, if we're desperate, we don't need to draft a starting left tackle this year. We can go the route of doing something else. Now, if we got third and fourth, I can do another draft, and I can tell you we can pick up a decent tackle and another good corner and things like that that would be beneficial to this team this year. But what do I think we would do it? If it's the only one available, yeah. But do I think so? No. Based on the buzz that based on just my own personal research, and looking up how many teams actually are like slotted to actually need an offensive tackle, I think there's too many teams out there to not get something higher than a third and a fourth and a second next year. I think we're going to get something. I don't know if it's going to be a fourth. I think it'll be like an early second, maybe a mid second. I would take a late second, or like I wouldn't mind the third and the fourth. Don't get me wrong, but that would be what I think would be the best one. And that is the last question. I didn't get that many comments on that. I did post it last night pretty late, so a lot of people didn't get around to watching it. Didn't get a lot of likes on it though. Give myself a like. If you have any further questions, the next video I'm going to do is a reaction to the draft tonight. I'll probably do that sometime this weekend. I may wait for the entire draft. If I do anything, it'll be something on the way to work where I can actually react to it. But I'm not going to be surprised by anything. I'm 100% think that the Washington Redskins are going to draft Chase Young. I don't think there's a doubt in my mind unless a scenario that I've mentioned before where like the Lions decide, hey, we're moving on from our quarterback and we want Tua Tagovailoa, whatever, and they want to swap picks with us and give us a second. That would be the best case scenario I can think of in my mind. I don't think if we trade with the Dolphins, we can trade with the Dolphins and get picks. I don't think Chase Young will fall to that. The best case scenario is to trade, keep Chase Young, and accumulate like a second rounder or something. So, but that's my video. I did the mock draft of what the Redskins, who I think they're going to draft, or I think they should draft. I'm probably going to be dead wrong, but I know the needs of the Redskins. But I also don't know Ron Rivera quite as much as I kind of noticed tendencies with Bruce Allen and Jay Gruden. I don't quite know the tendencies of Ron Rivera, so it might take a year for us to adapt to that. But all in all, that's my draft, and this is the questions I answered. I appreciate everyone that commented. Leave a comment in this video who you think we're going to draft second overall. What do you think we're going to get for Trent? Put it in the comment section down below. Hail to the Redskins. Have a good one. See ya. Let's go. Let's have a good draft. See ya.